Children's author J.K. Rowling has been at the top of the news cycle for several years. Her defense of biology and women's rights has left her standing as the primary target of trans activists who not only flood the internet with violent threats, but have also gone so far as to release her home address and post bomb-making instructions online. And in case you were wondering, no, none of our virtuous online censors are remotely interested in protecting her safety. The UK is more likely to throw Rowling in jail rather than her online abusers. But this is not the point I want to make today. With all of our activist noise going on, I believe that people have forgotten why J.K. Rowling is so powerful and why the neo-Marxist woke zealots have decided to earmark her as the chief threat in the culture wars. Now, long before the Harry Potter movies came out, we had the books. The books were nothing short of a cultural phenomena. I was a child going through senior school as these books were released, and I remember the extent of their social impact. These books were an escape. They presented school life as we wished it was. The world of Hogwarts did not treat children as idiots or pawns of the state, raised to stick themselves to roads and cry about the weather. Instead, in the world of Harry Potter, kids valued history, cultural lore, and adventure. They were the antidote to an increasingly pathetic and woke schooling system that handed out participation awards while children were reading about fighting monsters and defeating the big state. Teachers hated Harry Potter. They did not want us to read it. They tried to ban it from classrooms and dismissed it as not being intellectual enough. Never mind that for the first time in living memory, young children were begging their parents to line up for hours every time a new book was released. Try and think about any other book in history where kids aged between 9 and 18 in their thousands were prepared to sit outside on the street for 24 hours just to buy the book on its first day of release. These books were on every desk, in every classroom, for every age group. Their popularity was so overwhelming to the school system that we were eventually banned from reading them during school hours. Now, I remember when one smart-ass student decided to ruin the plot of The Twist of the Fifth Book, and our top English class locked her out of the room and the teacher couldn't do anything about it. 600 million copies have been printed, making it the best-selling series in history, and the 7 books were released in rapid succession between 1997 and 2007, meaning they shadowed a generation. Now, the movies did not make Harry Potter famous. The books were the source of fame. This exposure allowed J.K. Rowling to reach into the minds of hundreds of millions of children, and the messages that she chose to promote are fascinating. For a start, Harry Potter is a rehash of the Jesus story, which is why I always found it amusing that our religious conservatives wanted to ban it. Rowling very cleverly repackaged the Jesus story of sacrifice and redemption into a format that reached more children than the West's failing churches. Kids were taught that doing the right thing, even at the expense of their life, was virtuous. But that's not why the woke hate it. Harry Potter educates children on the politics of the Second World War. It is a story about the evils of racism, where the blood purity of the wizarding world parallels the philosophy of Nazism and classism. Indeed, the goal of the primary villain was to re-establish a world of magical purity and to murder half-bloods. How interesting it is that those actors and actresses who starred in the Harry Potter films have failed to learn the lesson that their characters lived through and that J.K. Rowling wrote for them. Reading the series as an adult, the Orwellian Ministry of Magic and the way the government bureaucracy is the first to fall to the authoritarian regime has accurately predicted our current situation. Those government bodies designed to keep us safe are making the world more dangerous. The Ministry of Magic, once captured by the elite, immediately tried to intervene in the school system and poison the minds of the next generation, just as modern schools and universities have captured 3 generations and indoctrinated them into a dangerous neo-Marxist ideology. Rowling tried to warn children about woke before woke existed. She tried to impart the lessons of our grandparents and great-grandparents into the minds of kids. She didn't become a culture warrior when she decided to speak up for biological sex. She already gifted us a 7-book thesis on the dangers of woke and its parallel to Nazism. It's time we give her credit for this work. She's not only a children's author, she's the heir of George Orwell's legacy on freedom.